Welcome back to another episode of How I Got the Shot. Today's images feature one of my go-to models for years, Sara L, based in Miami, Florida. She participated in one of my recent DioBurto Photo Walks, and as expected, I love the images that were created. Now, what is the DioBurto Photo Walk? The DioBurto Photo Walk is my way of building community and helping photographers through a hands-on demonstration. I use the structure of a photo walk mixed in with the motivations of a fashion campaign to build connections with peers, elevate portfolios, and educate photographers on commercial techniques that I've worked throughout my 16-year career. For every photo walk, I create a mood board and give attendees a prompt before they start shooting. Now, there's no pressure for them to do exactly what I'm doing, but I also provide them with my camera settings and my thought process as I'm responding to the model and the sun. This way, if they're unsure, they have a starting point to build from. Now, usually we have about 10 to 15 photographers, and this has worked flawlessly. We primarily depend on the sun and reflectors for lighting. Either we're shooting using direct sunlight or we're finding/creating shade. Even light was my go-to for years, but I've been leaning more and more into direct sun when it's consistent. Now, having a reflector is a key to all of this because it's flexible. It can reflect whatever light source that's given or soften it using the scrim in the middle. I've been asked multiple times, can a photographer bring strobes to the photo walk? Yes, they can, but I know logistically that will not work trying to have every single photographer having their own strobe and me having my strobe and trying to guide them on each person's different type of strobe and trying to get everything balanced out. So we just use the reflector and the scrim as our main modifiers. So right now we're structured to be 2 hours. And during that 2 hours, we go through 6 looks, 3 looks for each model. The models that are chosen for the photo walk have years of experience and also usually worked with me before. When schedules align, I'm able to include a makeup artist, but most of them come makeup and hair ready. Most of the looks are neutral so that we can use it for multiple looks, but we always know we can build upon them. Now, to the images. Today's images are focused on my favorite look from this photo walk. The wardrobe we chose is very simple but flattering. The skirt and the top work really well together, and I really love that color. I don't know if I'm obsessed with the color green, but I love the color green and try to incorporate it whenever it makes sense. It also kind of works with the court if you guys are into color theory. To add depth to the look, I wanted to add a tennis racket, which isn't groundbreaking. I know I'm not the first person to ever use a tennis racket on a tennis court, but instead of using a modern one, I drove around for about 4 hours visiting 5 or 6 different thrift stores in my area looking for a vintage racket. And who would have thought? I found it. The next thought was to incorporate tennis balls because that's the logical progression. Can't play tennis without a tennis ball. And to make it look a little more editorial, I had my assistant spread the tennis balls around the model, keeping them relatively close to each other without making it look so obvious. I instructed the photographers to use them in the foreground while shooting at a low angle. This makes the model fill the frame and also look larger than life. Now, I asked Sarah if she played tennis before, and her response let me know that she did not play for real. But somehow, she knew enough to almost hit me in the head with one of the tennis balls. I also may have been antagonizing her since she arrived. We've known each other for years, so like the brother-sister vibes are strong. You know, the whole constant bickering and picking on each other. It just works well for us. So now bounce to the shots. We have a couple of different types. We have our standard catalog shots, our editorial lookbook shots, our action shots, and our hero shots. We were able to shoot all of this as a group within about 10 to 15 minutes. There was a second model, but she still hasn't chosen her favorite images, so I am not including it in this video. All right, let's move on and go to capture one. Now that we're in capture one, here's the plan. We're gonna go through all of the images and see, exactly what we got. I'm gonna talk through some of the lighting scenarios, and then also I'm gonna show you the ones that were actually taken over to Photoshop. So let's start off with this first shot. This was using the scrim off to the left-hand side. Over here, you can see that big circle on the ground, and it created a bunch of shade. But that shade was also even light on her. Now, I did not like the fact that the background was so much brighter than her. So I ended up moving, changing my direction. Now, if you increase the shadows, which we do here, the image is kind of usable, but it doesn't really fit my style of photography. That's not what I want to teach. I know I would never set nothing up like this. So I changed my angle. Now, changing my angle actually fixed things quite a bit. Adjusting the warmth a little bit more. Now that looks more usable. And then let's just go through the images. So that's ultimately what I was going for. Now obviously I can go back up here. Now this is ultimately what I was going for. I wanted to have a warm feeling on it, even light on the wardrobe. That way you can see all the logos here. There's no confusion about what brand we're focused on. And then also we're trying to make sure that nothing is going out of her head or really cutting through her head. Touching the top of the hair I think is fine, but that's the shot that we were really going for. So as we go through, now mind you, I'm doing this while teaching everybody at the same time. I'm giving instruction, giving feedback to all the photographers. Like, this is what really makes the photo walk work. Now, again, you can see the real quick difference between shooting in the shade or creating our own shade, then putting our subject into direct sunlight, having to reflect on this side, bouncing back on her. On my camera settings, I'm shooting at 1/1600th of a second, f3.2 at ISO of 160. And this is straight out of camera. It looks absolutely amazing. So these are the types of shots that I was trying to get the photographers to create. And most of them did. Like, when I was looking through the cameras as we were going, like, everyone was getting the same vibe. Everything looked even. We're not losing detail anywhere. Like you can see here, we're not losing any of the detail on her clothes. If we hit the exposure warning, we're getting very little loss here. So that's a great job of getting the exposure right. Kudos to me. And I was guiding the photographers through the process of letting them, get the same results. Now, the hardest thing to do when using a reflector is keeping it even, because there's times when the wind blows, it makes it hard for the reflector. It makes it hard for my assistants to hold on to the reflector. I do plan on getting a reflector that has handles, but I've also known that that's harder to pack up sometimes, but we'll figure it out. But these shots, again, look great. Now we're moving on to the action shots. I didn't use a reflector for these. This was more just straight on direct sunlight and straight out of camera. This is pretty much what we're getting. Could have brought the exposure back a little bit more. That looks a lot better. And then let's just, while I'm here, and because it's how my brain works, I have to fix things when I see them. Even though I've already sent her the proofs, I know this probably wouldn't have made a difference in that process. That looks good. Let's rotate it again. Let's get the fence right. My fence is still off. Let's rotate some more. We can also use the keystone if we wanted to get the fence perfectly aligned. So the keystone, I try to find something that's already in the shape of a square or rectangle, and I try to find those endpoints. Sometimes it's easier to see than others, but here it's right there. Nope, right here. Because that should just line itself up. You hit enter, and that did not work. Come on. It's hard to see. There you go. Either way, got it close enough. The shot actually looks really good. Now the only problem was, and this is what I mentioned earlier, her tennis, you really wouldn't lift up your hand that much. I said your hand. You wouldn't lift up your leg that much when you're playing tennis. But this is also when I knew I couldn't trust her, because that ball was headed towards me. That ball almost hit me. I moved at the last second and she's smiling about it. I'm gonna show you guys the clip. When she did it and then she laughed at me. Okay, stay focused. And here I'm trying to be a little more creative, shooting in between the nets. There are some photographers who got some really dope shots doing this. Like, I had to kind of stop and go ahead and make sure I was helping out the other photographers, but there were some photographers who got some really dope shots shooting through the net. Beautiful. Now these are more of your hero shots. You all can imagine if you had text right here, if this was the front of a magazine cover like Vogue or Tennis Today or Miami Open or whatever it's called. You could add some text over here for graphic design purposes for pretty much anything. Love those shots. All of that works. Lighting is amazing. Using direct sunlight, shooting dark enough, aka exposing for your subject and your background, then adding a reflector in creates that pop. We use 0 strobes during this whole thing. So it does help that Sara has a beautiful smile. So now let's go over to the images that Sara chose. These were her top 12, not top 12, top 5 actually. There's a lot more shots we did that day, but again, we're focused on just this look. These are the ones that she chose. And they came out really good. And then we're gonna go over to Photoshop really quick. All right, so now that we're in Photoshop, the way we're gonna do this, instead of just showing you all the images, I'm gonna show you 3, one for each lighting scenario. And also, you know, one that's just my favorite. So one would be this one, which is in the shade. We created our own shade using the scrim. The changes on here were very simple. Now let's go down to this base layer. The first thing was expanding the image itself to make sure it fit the 4:5 ratio, mainly for Instagram, because that's typically where we're posting everything these days. So I did that. Then afterwards, it was like a style thing. So I don't like when these yellows don't look green, like they look more yellowish. So I want to change that. I also realized I wanted you to actually see a little more detail, a little more richness in that background. So I made it darker or underexposed it using a curves adjustment. Then I balanced out her skin and the image itself using color balance. So if we click in here, I went to the mid-tones, add a little bit of red, add a little bit of yellow, and I gave her skin tone that rich melanin look that she has in real life. Next, add a little more brightness overall to make sure she popped off the screen, add that contrast. Then after that, I cleaned up some skin blemishes, and there were very little there to begin with. Smoothed out her skin a little bit, added in some grain, sharpened it. Then I added some whiteness to her teeth. Now again, her teeth were already pretty white. We just add just a little bit. Like the group itself is set to 100, but when I was brushing it in, I kept it really light. I don't know what this is. I have no idea what this is, but it's real. I probably can do without it. And then that was pretty much it. Now I always give my clients a clean version of anything that I shoot, or the models a clean version of anything that I shoot. And then I usually give them a color grade. Now I usually do all my color grades manually, but for this one, I decided to use Exposure X6. They have like this cyan and orange look that I like to use. And I sent the client both of them and let her decide whichever one she wanted to post. All right, let's go into the second look. Let's go down to the first layer. Again, we want to make sure that it's already cropped in for a 4:5. I didn't need to adjust anything because I shot it wide enough. And then we went from there to frequency separation to fix whatever discolorations I saw, any like blemishes on her legs or her skin, anywhere. Clean all of that up, which is mostly the patch tool. I used the patch tool for almost everything, and then use the clone stamp tool. And then also from there, I kind of softened up her skin a little bit. After that, did some dodging and burning. You can see it on her leg to add a little more definition and to even up some things. All right, so dodge and burn, even up her skin and add a little more definition to her legs. Added some color balance to balance things out. And then sharpen the image like we did before. Now this is my favorite little tool. Add a little extra contrast to the image to make things look a little more rich. I believe I sent her this version and then I did this as well. Let's balance things out. Let's adjust that. Now you see in the background how the background changed. That blue was way too intense. So I made some adjustments there. Let me open that up so you guys can see what I did. I went to the greens, make those adjustments, and the blues I also adjusted towards cyan. So I really don't like having this color blue in my sky. I always move it towards cyan, and then I'll decrease the saturation to get that look. And that's what I sent her. That's what I sent her. And then I also did another color grade using Exposure X6. Again, I just go to this from time to time. I think she liked it, but I know I end up posting the version without it. Last one would be the hero shot. So again, this would be one that this could be a shot for a lookbook, but also if this was the front cover of a tennis magazine or an advertisement, it would make a lot of sense. All right, so the process for this one is just like I did all the others. Get your main shot, crop it in for that 4:5, fill in the sides, go through frequency separation and clean up what you need to clean up. Now, the most complicated part out of this, let me see if you can see it from layer to layer, is when I had to expand this part, I had to go literally piece by piece and make that fit over here. I don't like using I don't like using any type of AI tools at all. Even if it's something tedious like this, I'd rather just sit there and do it myself. I don't like AI tools. I get why people use them. I don't know if it's because I'm from the old school and I'm not even old. I just like doing things manually and I like the way it came out. Here we worked on adding a little more whiteness to the teeth and removing any kind of color cast. Going through, then we have our clean version. Well, we soften up the skin a little bit, added some grain to make sure we have some skin texture. Reduce that corner, this corner up here, because that blue is doing too much. Reduce saturation on that, and then we have our clean version. From there, again, I use exposure X6 to create this version, which I did not end up using. I preferred it this way. So there it is. That's how I got the shot. Now, if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them below. Make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you can see when I'm posting new content. Like I always say, I know we're creating for our friends, our family, our network, and everybody else in the world, but make sure you're making time to create for yourself. All right, see you in the next one.